Hi, I'm Dave.
And I'm Becky, and we're parents to 2 little kids. Parenting isn't always easy. There are ups and downs, good days and bad days, days with way too much TV, and days with lots of laughter. Moments where you just feel overwhelmed, and moments where you've never felt more proud.
At the end of the day, parenting is super rewarding, but also super hard. This podcast is for all the parents out there who feel like they have no idea what they're doing, because we're right there with you. This is the Spillproof podcast. Welcome back to the Spillproof podcast. I'm Dave.
And I'm Becky.
And today we are talking about traveling again.
And vacation.
So some of you might have remembered episode 8 was traveling with kids. And we kind of went through some of the scenarios that we have gone through as far as with 2 kids, 1 kid, 4 hours, 8 hours, whatever it might be.
Like do's and don'ts, too.
Do's and don'ts, things we've learned, kind of all around everything. We jumped in the deep end on this one, and it was a couple weeks ago.
Mm-hmm.
And it was 29 hours in the car total, call it.
I mean, with both ways.
Well, yeah, and the kids
Yeah.
were in the cars. But yeah, so
But it's a little over a 12-hour drive there.
without kids.
Without kids. Like if you Google map it, it
Right.
says a 12-hour drive. I feel like you were implying that we drove across the country.
Well, we were going to elaborate on that, but
Okay.
I was trying to draw people in with the fact that it
By
was,
lying to them.
I mean, it was embellishing. Anyways, we took a really long road trip. It was about 14 and a half hours one way. And
But on the way down, I think it was shorter.
it might have been shorter, but
Mhm.
give or take, it was
Mhm.
it was about that, 14-ish hours. With 2 kids, a 2-year-old and a 1-year-old.
Mhm.
And we're going to kind of talk about what we now know. And a little bit about vacations and
Yeah,
things
just
like
in
that.
general how it went, because this is our first vacation since quarantine. It's our first vacation with 2 kids and our first beach vacation as a family. We went to the
Mhm.
beach.
Yeah, we drove down to North Carolina, Outer Banks-ish area, a little more southern than that, I was told. But that's kind of just what we're going to be talking about. So a little bit of vacation, a little bit of family, a little bit of travel, a little bit of all that. But a lot of it's going to reference back to episode 8, traveling with kids, because, again, we talked a lot about what we had gone through and what we had done and what we thought we knew. And we tried to apply it to this trip, and, well, we'll get into that.
Yeah, I'm just going to dive right into that because one of my biggest don'ts was don't overpack. And I think we did a much better job than our last couple trips that we've taken. But I think we still overpacked a little bit.
Well, so I think we felt like we did better. However, we filled up my mom's car going down as well as our car.
Yeah, and we have a minivan.
She's got a little SUV.
Yeah.
So I don't know that we did any better. I just think that we felt like we did because we didn't have as much in our actual
Clothes,
car.
we did better.
Clothes, we did better.
Clothes, we did better. I think I overpacked for myself a little bit. I packed a little more. Obviously, we were at the beach, so we were in bathing suits and, very casual, beach wear. And I packed a lot more for myself, standard, everyday casual wear, not, beach comfy cover up.
Yeah, so what we thought is we'd be mostly wearing bathing suits, clothes here and there. And where we fell into the trap of was we were like, oh man, we're going to be going through so many swim diapers and we should get some more. So I think we went down with 4 packs of swim diapers, and they're 18 or 24 in a
Well, yeah,
pack.
because we had 2 for Owen and 2 for Emily.
Right, because we were worried about having to change them out of the diapers.
I anticipated them being in 3 to 5 swim diapers a day, when in reality, they each wore like 1, maybe 2 swim diapers a day.
If that.
Yeah. I mean 1 a day.
Yeah. Well, and if
wore
you've
at
ever
least one a
used
day.
if you've ever used a swim diapers do literally nothing. They absorb no pee.
They're going to
might
catch a
poo,
poo.
but they don't do anything. They have, it's basically a diaper with none of the absorbent material in it. So it really doesn't do anything. So you don't change it.
Yeah,
Because
right.
it never fills
like,
up.
No, yeah, it doesn't get like super absorbent, and you're like, oh, this is going to explode,
Mm-hmm.
and it's weighing the kid down. Like,
No, because it just goes right out.
Yeah.
So we brought, 50 of them there and probably bought 40 of them back.
Yeah. What we didn't bring enough of was regular diapers.
No, funny enough, regular diapers, regular and overnight, we actually ran short of, which was fine. I mean, there was multiple grocery stores and we were able to find roughly what we needed, second time around. But
yeah. But I think overall I did okay on the clothes. Like I said, I think Emily and I like packed us more like weekend clothes. Like we were going to dress up for some reason. I don't know why. And really the kids were in diapers and no clothes most of the time.
Mm-hmm. Which, I mean, they run around the house in no clothes anyways. So I don't know why we thought that'd be any different down there.
Yeah. And like we were at the beach. So like they were going to run around with no clothes on. And then like I feel like the last couple days I was feeling really good. I was like, yes, we're not going to overpack. And then the last couple days we were like, oh yeah, we need this. Oh yeah, we need this. Like we need a chair for Emmy to eat meals in. And then like, oh, we need like some toys for them to play with. And we probably packed like too many toys for them to play with while we were there.
I don't know that we packed too many, but we packed a lot. But
we packed too many.
There was a difference between what we packed this time around and last time. So last time we did our 8-hour trip to Gatlinburg.
That was a 12-hour trip as well.
We had a lot of stuff we brought that we just flat out didn't use.
Yeah.
And this time around, everything that we brought, other than some outfits and stuff, we still fit everything into one suitcase, which I think was a win. We used everything we brought.
Mm-hmm.
There wasn't a single thing that and really it was like bringing chairs, bringing sand toys, so we didn't have to spend money down there buying chairs and sand toys and things like that.
Yeah, like beach chairs and stuff.
Yeah, we brought the big like Tonka trucks for Owen and the shovels and
yeah, that stuff just like it was really fun when we were down there, and I'm glad we had it, but it was like stuff that made it awkward to pack the car because it wasn't in like a rectangular shape or like a duffel bag. It was stuff that just like floated kind of.
Right. And we have a car top carrier we were going to use, and then we realized we don't have roof bars on our car, so we ended up scrapping that.
And that's why we put a lot of stuff in your mom's car.
Right. So we could have brought that last time or, this time, but last time we packed everything and it all fit in the car anyways. So, I mean, you still be overpacking. It just depends if it's in the car or on the car.
Yeah. But I think we definitely did better packing. I think with the age that our kids are, there's just a certain number of things that are like cumbersome to pack and bring along, but are necessary. So like we brought
2 pack and plays.
2 pack and plays. We actually ended up bringing 3 on accident.
But it worked out.
Because one was kind of like a kid wrangle station, or as we like to call it, baby jail. But the kids slept in pack and plays because they're 1 and 2. So like those are just like cumbersome. And then we also brought mattresses for the pack and play so they didn't sleep on like the kind of hard pack and play bottom. So like that stuff's just annoying to bring. And as your kids get older, you don't have to bring those because they can just sleep in a normal bed, but it takes up a lot of space.
Right. But what's nice about those is they are stackable. So they're, 3 feet long, maybe a foot high or half a foot. So you can kind of just fit them anywhere. They didn't take up that much space.
Yeah.
Because we didn't have them in our car.
But I think like on the way home, and we'll get into this a little bit more, the difference on the way there versus the way home. But we stayed in a hotel on the way home, and like, I was like, okay, I'm going to pack a duffel bag where all of our clothes and everything we need for overnight is just going to be in that duffel bag, because I didn't want to bring in 10 bags with us. And we still ended up bringing like my bag, my backpack, your backpack, our duffel bag of clothes, the 2 pack and plays, the pack and play mattresses, all their stuffies, the diaper bag, like our blankets and pillows, because we just like to sleep with our blankets and pillows. So like we still ended up having to get a trolley, like one of those carts, to bring our stuff in for one night.
Yeah. So on the way down and on the way back, as Becky was alluding to, were very different. So I think we pulled some of our friends who have traveled a little bit and kind of picked their brain a little bit on their experience. Because again, we had driven down to Gatlinburg, which apparently was a 12-hour trip. But we stopped somewhere each way, and I think we even caravanned a little bit down. Well, on the way up we did.
Oh, a little bit, yeah.
So on the way down, we decided that we couldn't check in very early. So we knew we could check in by 3 for sure.
4. It was 4 o'clock.
By 4 for sure.
Yeah.
Which, we didn't want to have a lot of time hanging around down there where we couldn't get in, or if they wanted to go to the beach, or it just made things complicated. So, what we decided to do was make the decision to drive through the night ish. We were toying with, basically putting him into bed in the car or leaving at midnight.
Yeah. So like either leaving at like 8 p.m. or at midnight. And the check-in time was really our deciding factor. Right.
And we knew that there might be a little bit of leeway on that, but it wasn't going to be huge.
Yeah, like we weren't going to get in at 9 a.m.
No, an hour or two swing either way. So we decided to leave at 12 or leave at midnight and drive through the night on the way down. On the way back, as Becky said, we split it up into 2 days. And I don't know about you, but I kind of feel like that was the right call to make. I didn't go exactly the way that we had planned it, but between midnight and basically, what was it, 6-ish? 6
like 7, really, 6:37.
We got a ton of time. I mean, they woke up in...
Well, so that was... The kids being awake and asleep was interesting. They were great. Like, we could not have asked them to be better overnight. And we knew Owen was going to like transfer to the car fine because he's a very heavy sleeper. And I
think we've changed his diaper while he was asleep.
Yeah, because he, goes to the bathroom a lot overnight. So we were like, we'll change his diaper and then we'll put him in the car. And he literally like didn't even wake up for that. I think he like complained about the lights once in the car. That was it.
Yeah.
We got her up and she was like, oh, I'm ready for the day. And we were like, it's midnight. And I was afraid of that because she tends to be like that. So Emily was up in the car from 12 to 1, completely silent. She just sat in the back and chilled. But she was up for the first hour of the drive. And we were like, what is going on? Like, we're driving in the car. Like,
it was dark.
Like, the car running kind of makes its own natural white noise.
We had thought that we were going to maybe put a sound machine in the vehicle. And we ended up not, only because the power cooler didn't allow, the plug was too big. But we were going to put the sound machine on to try to help them fall asleep a little bit better. But we didn't end up doing that. Although I don't know that we really needed to.
Yeah, because like the car on the highway just kind of like replicated that. But so she was up from 12 to 1, which we were like, of course she is. She, like I said, she didn't cry once. She just sat there and just kind of like looked around. She must have been incredibly bored. But then eventually, just after 1 o'clock, I think she fell asleep.
And then when we stopped for gas,
they both of them woke up. Yeah, I think around 3 o'clock, maybe like 3:15 a.m., we were like, we're going to stop really quick for gas. That way we're not stopping at like 5 a.m., which like if they woke up then, they might not fall back asleep because they
Mhm.
typically wake up between like 6:45 and 7 a.m. So there's like a chance
And
that
that was like what, Pennsylvania we stopped, I want to
yeah,
say?
yeah. But there was a chance that like if we stopped around the 5 a.m. time frame that they would like wake up and not go back to sleep.
Mm-hmm.
So that was scary because they both were all of a sudden like wide awake. But
Yeah.
Owen was really cute. Like he was super happy. We had told him what was going to happen the days
Mhm.
leading up to it because he's just the type of kid where like you got to like give him a heads up.
Mm-hmm.
So we were like, hey, on this night, we're going to put you in the car. And when you wake up, you're going to be in the car and we're going to vacation. We're going to the beach house. And when he woke up, he was so happy.
Yeah, he actually commented on a couple of things that he saw.
Yeah.
And then he went right back to sleep.
Yeah, he went. Em took a little bit longer to
Mhm.
fall back asleep, but they both went back to sleep.
And they stayed asleep. And we
Yeah.
made a great amount of time. After that, I don't think we stopped. I think we drove until they woke up.
Pretty much, yeah.
And that really made the trip go so much smoother. It was a bear to drive because I drove
You did
basically
the whole way
I did the whole
there.
way
Yeah.
that time.
And I stayed up with you at
Mhm.
like 4 or 5 o'clock. I was like, I need to close my eyes for a little bit, but then
Mhm.
I only ended up closing them for like 10, 15 minutes.
Mhm.
Which like we probably should have like done a better job of maybe like switching off and on to let each other sleep
Mhm.
because it took me like 2 full days to recover.
I was fine.
You were pretty good, but I was like, I really struggled like the first night, and then like I think I went pretty much right to bed after the kids went down. We played like one game, and then I went to sleep.
Mhm.
And even the second day in the afternoon, I was like, oh gosh, I'm struggling.
I think that was really due to lack of coffee because we only had one cup of coffee every morning.
That and also just not getting. It for whatever reason
I was fine.
just hit me. I know you were fine.
I bounced back immediately.
Yeah. I will say the one I didn't mind driving through the night at all. And I liked that we made a big chunk with the kids primarily asleep.
Mm-hmm.
The one thing I did not like was the fog. So probably like an hour and a half in,
Mm-hmm.
we hit this fog that like
Engulfed everything.
and go like you could see 10 feet in front of you, and it's pitch black at night, and like the way we were going, it's like
It was
through
mountains
these like mountains and cliffs.
and
If
windy
you've-
roads.
If you've ever driven on Route 15, you know exactly what I'm talking about. And like New York, Pennsylvania, but it was terrifying. It was terrifying because this is the route that I took to college too, so I knew when there was like okay, this turn we're on, like there's a cliff right here. And like we can't see 15 feet in front of us. So
It was like something out of that movie The Mist.
yeah, it was and then like it would be fine. Like the mist or the fog would go away.
Mm-hmm.
And every time Dave would go, I think we're out of it. And then like 10 minutes later we would drive back into the fog, and I was like, "Oh my gosh, I can't handle this." Like I would hold my breath and Dave would be like, "We're okay. We're doing fine."
Mm-hmm.
And I mean it kept us awake, but I was like slightly terrified.
There
It was so
traffic.
thick.
There was no traffic or anything either, so it was just us.
That's true. Yeah.
But you couldn't use your high beams because you did the high beams and it blinded everything.
Yeah, you couldn't see
So
anything.
you could see like nothing in front of you.
Yeah. So that was hard because like, you know, you have your 2 babies in the back and you're
Mhm.
like,
That was one thing that we wanted to
Ugh.
make sure of is obviously there's some risks that come with driving through the night.
yeah.
And we wanted to make sure that we were as safe as possible.
Mhm.
Obviously having ourselves, but also our kids in the car. So we took every precaution we possibly could. It was part of the reason why Becky stayed up in the car with me,
Mhm.
just to make sure, because we didn't listen to music all the way down through the night. That is, we didn't watch anything. We barely even talked because we really didn't want to keep the kids up. There were a couple times where we did have some conversations, and they actually started to stir. So
Yeah, we like whispered a little bit on the way
I
down.
think at one point I might have popped in an earbud in one ear.
You
and listened
did?
to something.
On the way down? I thought that was on the
No,
way
it
back.
was on the way back. You're right.
When
It
I
was
was
on the way
driving,
back.
though.
That's right. It was on the way back. No, on the way down we listened to absolutely nothing.
Nothing.
So,
Yeah.
and it was a little hard. I won't say it was easy by any means.
'Cause,
I've done it a bunch.
You drove through the night with no music,
Mhm.
with barely any conversation, with just like whisper chats.
Mhm.
Like,
But I've done that before.
Yeah.
I've done it a
with
handful
no
of times.
music.
No.
I was gonna say that's what I mean. Like
It was
there
like
was
music
no
blaring,
music.
4 windows
right?
down,
Like
driving a stick shift.
this was like, and we didn't want to make it too cold for the kids, so like it was interesting.
Yeah. No.
I'm glad we
never drive
did it,
just like that.
but
In 9 months, we're going to be doing this again. I still think we're going to drive through the
me
night.
too. Yeah, I still think on the way down we're gonna drive.
On
through
the way
night.
back, I think we'll still stop. But on the way down, totally drive through the night.
Yeah.
We might. I think moving forward, what we'll do is we'll stagger it.
Mm-hmm.
Like if you drive first and I sleep.
Yeah, and then we've been really good about
Because I can sleep in a car, no problem.
Yeah.
I can sleep anywhere, no problem.
But we were good about, like, I would check in with you and be like, are you good? Do you need me to take over? And the same, even on the way home, when, like, I drove a little bit more, you would be like, you good?
Yeah.
So,
oddly enough, the way I was able to stay awake was these little sausage snacks that I that I had. And I was like, I had it in my mouth. And then I was slowly trying to unwrap the casing off of it while I was driving with just my mouth. It made some really gross noises.
Yeah. So, like, as the passenger and someone who doesn't love hearing other people chew, I had some thoughts about it. But I was like, he's driving. This is what's keeping him awake. Don't say anything.
Yeah.
But, like,
it's the equivalent of driving through the night while trying to, like, tie a cherry stem in a knot and then continuing to do that. It was like the same thing. It kept my concentration.
It kept your concentration, but like it was pretty gross sounding.
It didn't sound great.
I didn't say anything until like you made a comment and I was like, yeah, it's a little hard to take.
But it worked.
But it worked and it kept you up. So I didn't say anything until you brought it up first, but in my head I was like, this is horrible.
Yeah, because all you heard was like,
yeah. And like I said, we weren't like chit-chatting that much at that point because we didn't want to wake the kids up. But it works though. Like we made really good time. By the time the kids woke up, we were ready for a stretch.
Were we up to
break.
DC by that point?
We stopped right after we got past DC.
Yeah. Which is what? How many hours?
Just about 6. We stopped a little after. No. We made
great time.
We stopped around like 7. So we were like past. We ran into like a little bit of congestion around DC. It wasn't like true traffic, but it was just like a lot of people on the road.
Yeah, recommendation for if you're traveling around that area or traveling in general, using Google Maps is probably the easiest thing to do. I know iPhone users probably use Siri or whatever the Apple equivalent is, but Google Maps is great because it'll not only give you like the route, but it'll give you reroutes for accidents,
high traffic,
police like Waze does. But it also gives you the most accurate route based on when you're leaving and when you're actually going to get there. So we drove around DC, which any normal person would do, but we went like far into Virginia going down. Like we went kind of far around it, I think. And it actually saved the distance might have been a little bit longer, but the time it saved was like a ton. On the way back, we had the opposite effect and we got stuck in breakdowns and all sorts of stuff. But Google Maps, if it ever makes a suggestion, just take the suggestion.
Just take it.
It'll be the right call.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, everybody has a phone. Google's tracking all of our stuff. Probably tracking this conversation right now. But it really helped having that. Now, we've used Google Maps or Google Directions, whatever you want to call it, for pretty much for all of our trips.
Yeah.
And it's definitely saved some time, and it definitely gave us the best route, 100%. And coming back, it was a completely different route.
So we did stop so we got gas around 3 a.m. and then we did end up stopping around, what was it, like 5 a.m., which like we didn't want to. We did end up stopping around 5 because we both had to pee really bad because we were drinking coffee. And like Coke Zero and just stuff to, like water.
Everything that was caffeinated, water.
Yeah, just like, so by 5 a.m. we were like, oh my gosh, we really have to go to the bathroom. And we didn't want to like spend too much time going to the bathroom because we had we didn't want the kids to really wake up. So
and anywhere we were going to stop was going to be well lit. It was going to be potentially loud with trucks coming through.
Yeah. So we ended up like pulling over on the side of the road essentially. And we had gotten, obviously, like Dave just did his thing. But for me, we got one of those, like, I don't know what they're called, but it's like a little contraption that I use so I could like go to the bathroom standing up. And it worked. I wish I had practiced more before we went.
The directions say you should practice.
Yeah, the directions were hilarious. But they did say that I should practice. And
shower.
I didn't because I probably
there was no good reason.
There was no good reason. But like if I had practiced, I think I could have done it in the car, which sounds gross, but like then we wouldn't have had to stop. But I did use it. But by that point, I had to pee so bad that like, you know, I'm like standing going, but then I kept having to like change where I was standing because
it's called
there
a
was
sunny.
So much pee. A sunny, yeah, it worked. If you're going on a long car trip and you maybe right now with everything,
don't want to go into like
you don't want to go into.
Well, let's explain this too. So we got the sunny for you,
Yeah,
but we also got off Amazon, of course, a 5-gallon jug with a spout, and you know I think it was like $7 or $8.
Yeah, and we brought our favorite hand soap.
And we brought a hand soap that we were going to have down at the beach house anyways because you got to bring your own soap. And we just had it hanging outside of the sliding door, just plop it down.
Yeah, so we were able to wash our hands whenever we wanted.
We washed our hands. We washed the sunny.
Yeah.
I mean, if we honestly needed to, we could have drank the water because it was just regular tap water.
Yeah. But that was smart, I think, because there were a couple times when like we did go into a rest stop and like got like fast food or whatever, and we just like you just wanted to like use
you want to do something more than sanitizer.
Yeah, like you just or like I remember I did like fast food at a a McDonald's, and they had like touch screens to order food, and then they had hand sanitizer in there. And, like, we had our own hand sanitizer, but, like, I just felt like I needed to, like, physically wash my hands, not just use hand sanitizer. So that was awesome because, like, it's the antibacterial soap that we use and then just use our little spout and we were good. Went off the side of the car.
Honestly, we probably, a 2-gallon one would have been
easier.
The
5-gallon
The 5-gallon was a little
big.
bit much. I mean, going down and coming up, we still probably had 3 gallons, I want to say, but we used it to rinse out the bottles too. So once they had their morning bottle, we rinsed it out and put it back in the cooler, which is actually probably a good thing to mention too. Some of the things that we brought. So we had the 5-gallon jug of water. We had the sunny. We had a power cooler, which was fantastic because obviously both kids currently are drinking 1% in whole milk. So for their bottles and stuff like that, we were able to bring actual, 2-gallon or a gallon jug of milk.
A gallon of each, yeah.
2 gallons total. And that thing worked great. It's got a plug so you can plug it into the wall, which we did at the hotel. Even though the hotel had a refrigerator, we still did that. We had a power inverter. I don't remember if we ended up using that or not. We did. Actually, we did. So the power inverter has a plug for the car, but then has like a normal outlet, like a house. And what we ended up doing is we've actually got this cheap little baby monitor. We got it off Amazon. I think it was like $50. The range is pretty much crap, but the sound quality and picture is actually pretty good.
Yeah, the picture's great on it, and
it's
the
better,
sound.
It's better than our Motorola. Our Motorola is awful.
Yeah, the one on this smaller one was the picture was way better,
but it's smaller. So what we ended up doing is, unfortunately, because it's a baby monitor, the scope of what it can see is fairly limited. But we hooked it up to another thing that we had, which was an iPad holder, so the kids could watch something should things go completely awry. We got an iPad holder which that's hooked up to the headrest. so you can put your iPad up there and watch anything that you happen to download. Thank goodness for downloading things from Netflix and Disney
We
Plus.
only had to use that like
on the way home.
On the way home.
Yeah.
We were good on the way there. And
Yeah,
there
no.
was just like one time on the way home where we like, it was dire.
Yeah, it was like
the last
30,
day and we were like, here you go.
last
Please
3
be
hours or something
quiet.
like that. But so what we did is we hooked it up to that, and you could I think we mostly watched Emmy just because she was up more.
Yeah,
so we could see when she fell asleep. But that was actually kind of nice. So it was a short range thing. Able to plug it right in, and honestly, it worked great. And I think we'll do it again. I honestly wish we had 2 of them.
Yeah.
Just so we could see both kids in the back.
And then we used that monitor at the house, at the beach house.
We did, which was our plan all along. But using it in the car was actually,
it was like a last minute.
It was a last minute
thing.
decision. It wasn't anything that we had planned, but I just was like, hey, you know what? We've got this thing. We could plug it into the car. I wonder if it would work. And Becky was obviously the voice of reason, which is, well, you can only watch one kid. I said, well, I guess we got to pick our favorite.
We just knew that Emmy was going to wake up when we put her in the car.
She doesn't.
The second you pick her up, she's like, what's going on?
She's the
Is
lightest
the day
sleeper
starting?
in the world. Lightest sleeping baby. Trying to think if there was anything else that we had. Obviously snacks and things like that.
Yeah, we had you actually did this. So Dave had packed like a box of snacks with like individually.
Oh yeah, that was a good thing.
Like individual snack sized
so
things for the kids. So it's like the little
it's a snack bags.
A snack bag.
It's a snack Ziploc
so like smaller
bags.
than a sandwich Ziploc.
It's a third of a sandwich bag.
Yeah. But
I don't know how your kids are, but Owen's into whole thing. So if you hand him something or he sees it, for instance, the bag of animal crackers today.
Yeah.
Instead of pulling it out, he wants the whole thing.
Yeah. So like you can't just give him 2. He wants the whole thing. So we thought this would be a good way to give him, here's the whole thing. Here's a whole little bag for you.
So we brought blueberry Cheerios, regular Cheerios, these awesome like veggie infused goldfish things, which they just love.
Yeah, they have carrots in them.
Yeah, they're actually they don't taste bad. They're
pretty good.
Very high in sodium. But we had obviously green
some like
packets,
clementines
applesauce,
in the cooler.
We had colorful, which is berry Captain Crunch.
Yeah, but Owen calls it colorful because there's colorful.
I think I said it's colorful once, and he just assumed that
that's what he calls it. Yeah,
it's colorful. But we had all these little things. Popcorn. We had some popcorn on the way back, actually.
Yeah, we had them ready to
graham
go.
Crackers.
Graham crackers was the big
huge.
one. Yeah, that was big.
Kids are really into that, and Emmy's 1 year old now, so she can have honey graham crackers.
And it was stuff that we felt confident with them kind of snacking on in the car.
Something they wouldn't choke on, and if it was super messy, we could vacuum it up.
Exactly. Yeah. So, we also left. So we have a third row in our van, and we left one seat up in the back.
Yep.
So that way, if one of us had to like go back and calm them down, or if like they typically set each other off. So if like one of them starts crying, the other one starts crying. So if we went back there, we could kind of just like grab their attention or like read them a book or just like play peekaboo with them.
And we had learned that from our last trip.
We did.
When we rented a van before we owned one, because we had to go back there multiple times, and it's just not safe driving, especially in traffic, not strapped in. It didn't make any sense. So we did leave a seat up for that, and that was something that we learned. And we had the option of we have another vehicle that has like every safety nanny in the world on it. It practically drives itself.
But no third row.
But it's no third row. And we could have fit everything in there, even on the roof rack, because we got crossbars for it and all that. But
we made the choice to go with the van.
Yeah.
So that way we did have that
option of going back there. And it honestly, I think it was great. The one thing I will add, and the one thing that we are going to add next time we bring, is one of those little grabbing claw arm things. So the kids tend to drop stuff in the car and be like...
On purpose.
One of them does.
Emmy drops all of her stuff on like the side of her car seat that is on like the door side. So it's impossible to reach while you're driving.
Yeah. So I don't know if you've ever seen those. A lot of senior citizens have it, or people who can't grab things or bend over, whatever.
Or just like the plastic dinosaur ones.
The plastic dinosaur ones, yeah.
Yeah.
Now I think we've got something. I think Mom has something that we can borrow, but that is something that you absolutely need because like even if you can get your belt off, you have to then like lean over the kid to get it, and it just, or you could just turn around and put it between the door sill and you and get it. So
you like realize how flexible you still are with how you like maneuver through the car when there's not a lot of actual like space to put your feet. You're like, oh,
and I have to
I'm
say,
an acrobat.
I have to say, there's no better way to travel than a van. I know there's a stigmatism that comes with owning a van and driving a van, and honestly, it's actually less now than it used to be. Car manufacturers are making vans out all over the place, and everyone's got vans and everyone's buying them. But there's no way that I think we could ever take a road trip now that isn't in a van. Even if we didn't own one, we'd rent one.
Yeah. I don't know how we would do it because we've thought about taking our other car, and I just like there's just so much more room in the van.
It's nice to stretch out.
Yeah.
If we need to like push the middle seats back a little bit so we have more room in the front, we can do it. It's so versatile, and I think that's probably our biggest thing is if you don't have a van, rent one. It's a game changer.
Yeah. So on the way down, they really were only awake for probably like 6 hours of the drive because we ended up stopping to get lunch, and we pulled over to the side of the road, and like we wanted to get the kids out and have them stretch their legs a little bit because
which goes back to what we had learned in the last trip, which is every 3 or 4 hours really got to get
3 hours
out.
Max was their limit, and I think we pushed it once.
We did, and we paid.
We paid for it, but those car seats, like they're in tight, which they need to be, right? Like you can only fit it like 2 fingers in there, and like they sweat. If they get upset, they start sweating. So it's good to get them out. And
we did do
we put dry fit shirts like underneath them on the way down. At least on the way there. I'm not 100% sure if we did it on the way back.
They weren't on the way back because they were all nasty.
They were probably dirty by then.
Whenever Owen puked. That was
Owen puked on the way down. He was fine. He wasn't actually sick. He just like drank a bottle too fast.
He
drank milk too fast and then was driving backwards in a car and puked everywhere, and it was a whole thing.
But they don't make these seats breathe very well, so we thought that I've got a bunch of extra dry fit shirts.
Yeah,
from
it might
work.
just help them like not sweat as much. I think it helped.
I think it helped. They weren't as sweaty as they usually. Our kids sweat a lot, so like usually even with the air conditioning on, you pop them out and their back is just drenched.
Yeah. So, yeah, I would drive through the night again.
I think it's totally worth it as long as you're safe. You take the proper precautions.
And like you talk about it with like ideally
you plan it out.
Yeah, you plan it out. Like and like ideally you have someone who's either
are made when you're tired.
Yeah, gonna be up with you, or you make like very clear plans of like, okay, I'm gonna drive from 12 to 3, but the second I get tired, I'm gonna wake you up and you're gonna talk to me. So, just having a plan for it. On the way home, it was fine. Like we broke it up into 6 hours a day. We really stopped at the halfway mark. It was fine.
It was a little early.
What do you mean?
It was a little early to stop.
Yeah, so we stopped at like 4. And then we kind of were like, you and I were tired from just like driving. Like you drove, or no. You drove for a little bit and then I drove and we had hit traffic 3 separate times.
I can't handle 4 lanes of DC traffic.
Yeah, so we made the decision that I would drive around the DC area, and then I ended up driving the whole second day. But it just I felt like it dragged things out more. Where part of me was like, we should have just pushed through. And like as you're sitting in the hotel, you're like, oh well, if we had kept driving, we would have only had 2 more hours, So like, but the kids did need the stop. So like unless you're driving, like unless we had left earlier, I think, because we left around 7:40 in the morning that day. But unless we had left like earlier, like maybe at like 5 or 6, I don't think.
And that's something that I would change.
Yeah?
I would change that.
Okay.
So on our trip in 9 months where we're basically going to the same place and coming back home, I would leave earlier. I would
Yeah.
leave a couple hours earlier because this is the
And
problem
just push through.
in this scenario. 2 more hours. If we had pushed 2 more hours, we would have made not that much time because 2 more hours time-wise is just in traffic. But because it's earlier in the day and you move everything forward a little bit, you can get there before the traffic on a Saturday.
Our traffic was also because of accidents.
True.
Mhm.
True. Luck of the draw. But I'm thinking next time round,
No, yeah,
we do
because
leave a little
then
bit earlier.
you leave earlier, and then like, okay, if we really push through this, like the day will suck.
Mm-hmm.
But if we push through it, like we'll get home by like 7, 8 o'clock.
Yeah, which actually isn't that bad. Or, I don't know, stop somewhere closer to home so the next day is only like a 4-hour drive or a
Yeah.
3-hour drive.
I agree with that.
Or at
That's
that point,
probably
just
the
drive
one
all the
thing
way
I
through,
would change.
but-
Yeah, right. Because your mom was gonna stop like 3 hours from home.
Mhm.
And then just finish it the next morning, and she like stopped to have dinner, and then she
Mm.
was like, you know what, I'm just gonna drive it.
Yeah, which nobody anticipated that. I don't even think she did.
Yeah, I think it'll just kind of depend on like where the kids are at that
Mhm.
time.
Well, they'll all be 9 months older.
Yeah, that's true.
Honestly, the real thing is do we decide we let them watch the part that we know is gonna be bad? Just watch something on the iPad.
Yeah, I don't
Which we don't
love to
like
resort to that, but like sometimes you just got to do it because you
Mhm.
just got to get home.
It shouldn't.
Right.
It shouldn't be the first option, but if it's like the third or fourth option,
Yeah, like they were really good about reading books and
Oh my gosh, they love reading books. We had little toys for them to play with, those little finger popper things that are
yeah,
like,
those
in
were
shapes with
awesome.
push
You
the
would be like
bubbles.
pop these, and they loved
Um,
it.
Owen read books.
Mm-hmm.
I think Amy played with some stuff. Then there was a ton of toys they brought home with them.
Yeah, so yeah, just little things they had gotten, or
Mhm.
like Owen got
We
a
had-
baby shark book at the aquarium.
Oh my gosh, we heard so much Baby Shark on the way home.
But like he was calm and quiet and like just reading his book, living his best baby shark life.
Yeah, the what we ended up doing is we took a tote, just a normal sized tote, and filled it up with toys and books for
Had
bedtime.
it in between them, and
Mhm.
they
When
couldn't
he-
reach it, but like we would get it for him.
Yeah, and honestly, his book, The Meet the Cars, he's really into Pixar cars right now. He read that a couple times through, I want to say, and Search and Finds. We brought a couple new Search and Finds and a couple new books that he hadn't actually seen before the trip. The Cars book with all the little Cars figures in it and the kind of activities in
Mhm.
it. We purposely held those back to use those. We actually just found them randomly in the basement, but they worked.
Yeah,
out
they were
really
like a
well.
hand me down from his cousins,
Mhm.
and we were like, "Oh, let's keep these for vacation." And
Mhm.
it worked out well. So I would recommend that too. Like either doing like some sort of goodie bag, or like maybe getting a couple like new things for the kids
Mhm.
to be like, "Hey, look, here's this new thing that'll occupy you for hopefully at least 5 minutes."
Mm-hmm. Even one of those like, or a couple of those like watercolor books where it's like the pen with water in it and the pages like change colors as
Yeah,
they do it.
yeah,
Something
yeah.
like that that's not super messy. It's not going to get on the car. If
Yeah,
they
and it's
suck
like
on
not
it's
real
gonna be poisonous.
watercolor. It's just like you put water in like a pen type thing, and
Yeah,
they
the
like
page changes colors when
Yeah,
it's wet. I mean, that's
exactly.
Really all
Yeah,
it is.
and then
when
it
dries, it goes
like you
back.
can reuse it, and it like dries, and then you can
You can
do it
find them
again.
at your grocery store. They're like $3.
Yeah, those are good. So that was like our drive there, our drive home,
Mhm.
how we packed. One of the things I did talk about in the previous podcast was like, make sure you bring all the nighttime stuff that's needed for the kids. Like, don't skimp on the nighttime stuff. And I feel like we did a good job with this.
What do you mean?
Well, like, like we made sure to bring this like the important stuffies.
I mean, he sleeps with like 12 stuffies.
Correct. But we brought
2.
his 2 favorites. We brought Emmy's 2 favorites.
Mhm.
We brought like, so they were in pack and plays, but we brought like better mattresses to put in the pack and play.
Mhm.
We brought the sound machine.
Mhm.
So we tried to replicate home as much as possible. So like, don't skimp on that stuff.
Right. Minus the fact they shared a room and were right next to each other.
But we also like your mom had gotten from Target poster board that we could put in the window, and then we hung comforters over the other windows to like black it out because they sleep in basically blackout conditions in their rooms at home. So we tried to replicate that. And the kids did really well sleeping. This was the first time they have slept in the same room together. They've always had their own room since they were 6 months.
Well, and honestly, when we went to Gatlinburg, Owen was in a bassinet.
Yeah, he was only 5 months.
And when we went to Ohio, which was a 4-hour trip, they both ended up in bed with us.
They did. So we were like optimistic.
We had very low
expectations. We were optimistic, but we were like, they're probably going to wake up and like one of them's going to end up in our room, which is why which is why the third pack and play ended up being great, because we were like, oh, this can like be in our room just in case.
And it did once.
One night, Em woke up because I don't know why, but she just started screaming and we couldn't get her to calm down. But like the second we put her in the pack and play in our room, she went right to sleep. And then didn't wake up until the morning. And then another night, maybe like 2 nights later, Owen had a night terror. He has them, not a ton.
Yeah, those are great.
But like he has a reoccurring night terror that bees or flies are attacking his eyes, which like is horrifying. That's a horrifying nightmare to have. And so he had one of those nightmares, and it actually took us probably 30 minutes to calm him down, if not longer. And then he slept in bed with us that night because he had a nightmare that flies were eating his eyes. So yes, he slept with us that night.
Yeah. We don't do co-sleeping though normally.
No, we don't. We never have, and honestly,
never had to.
It's not great when we do because he just ooches me off the bed. He always
does.
like, because he likes to sleep on his right hand side, and like I just the side of the bed that Dave and I normally sleep on, he always like ooches up to me. And then I always end up sleeping some awkward way because I'm trying to like make sure he's okay. Yeah. It's basically like Dave has like 3/4 of the bed, and then Owen and I have 1/4 of the bed, and I'm trying not to fall off. You are essentially
a human bed rail.
Basically, 100%. So, but it was 2 nights out of the 6 nights, 6 nights we were there. 7 nights we were there.
Yeah, I actually forgot
2 nights.
Until you mentioned it that he slept in the bed with us.
Just once, yeah. So I would say that's a success. Like 2 out of the 7 nights we slept there, did they have an issue?
And they slept very well together, and they actually went down very good together. But he had this thing, and we to this day still don't understand where it came from. And we have a recording of it, and I'm sure we can put it up. He would look over. Actually, he wouldn't. He wouldn't get up. He'd be in his crib, and they were like
just be laying,
they were head to head. And he would just look up at Emmy and go, "Are you a taco? Are you a taco?"
Yeah, and like he would end up like as they were falling asleep, he would end up going, "Are you a taco?
Are you taco?"
Yeah, and it was hilarious for us because we're like, and. We're like, why is he asking Emmy if she's a taco? And they would get all riled up, but then 5 minutes later, they would be asleep. So we were like, all right, tacos, you do you.
We've asked him that, what that was. And he doesn't, at this point in time, either comprehend or know how to respond to if you ask him something like that. But what we're thinking is he saw Emily pop her head up over, and the top end of the backside of the crib or the pack and play has like an arc to it. So we're thinking that maybe it looked like a taco shell, like a hard taco shell, and a little baby head popping up. I don't know. That's the only thing I can think of.
I don't know, but like when you ask,
we had
when
tacos
you're like,
later.
Yeah, when you're like, "Hey, Owen, why do you say are you a taco?" He'll kind of just like give you this look like, "Oh yeah, that's a funny thing I do," but he never tells us why. And it's something we like repeat to this day.
It's a joke. It's a running joke.
It's like our inside family joke now, where we're like, "Are you a taco?"
And honestly, we expected them to kind of want to continue that when we came home, but it's funny how
to sleep together, to sleep in the same room. They really liked it,
and we were prepared for it too. We brought the pack and play and the mattress here. Because the good mattress actually wasn't ours. It was my mom's, for her pack and play. And it's funny how the atmosphere puts everyone back kind of in their set ways, because the first night back, nobody asked to be with anybody else. Everyone in their own room.
Yeah, we asked Owen. We were like, "Do you want Emmy to sleep in your room?"
Mhm.
Thinking that like he was 100% gonna be like, "Yeah, put her in my room."
Because they enjoyed it so much.
Yeah, they really liked it, and he was like, "No." And we were like, "You want Emmy to sleep in her own room? Like you'll sleep by yourself
Mhm.
in your own room?" And he was like, "Yup." We were like, "Oh, just a vacation thing, I guess."
Yeah, apparently it's only for vacation.
Yeah.
But that was interesting, and that was very unexpected, in the sense that it went very well.
Yeah, I thought that like maybe we would get 2 good nights.
Mhm.
Maybe. And we had like I said, 2 out of 7 nights were not great.
Mhm.
But that was it. Like that was a huge win
It was.
for me.
And one of the things for me is I wanted to try to capture as much as we possibly can on the trip. So pictures, video, things like that. And I think we got a good-ish portion of that. The end idea is that we'd be able to put something together and either put it up on our YouTube page or something like that.
But we also just like wanted to enjoy vacation too.
Right.
Which like we wanted the memories, but like so it was a good mix of like taking pictures and taking videos
Mhm.
of really funny stuff, or like cuz Dave, you went to this beach growing up. So it was like really sentimental for you and your mom and your brother
I was super
to
excited
be
to show
back
everyone
there.
all
Yeah,
my
and
new
I had
family,
never been,
you
and like
and our
the kids had
kids.
never been, so like that was really cool.
Mhm.
But we also wanted to like be in the moment as much too. So I feel like we did a good mix of that.
We did, and honestly, I had planned on doing more filming, more camera, pictures and things like that. And my brother's very much into photography.
Mm-hmm.
I dabble a little bit in photography and videography and things like that, and I do most of the editing for this. But what sucks is that you want to capture those moments to look back on. And Owen loves to watch these. I put it together, throw some music in there, do some editing,
Mm-hmm.
and put it on YouTube and on my personal channel. And we watch those all the time. But the problem is that when you're doing that, you're not necessarily
You're not part of it.
you're not part of it. You're
Mhm.
always behind the camera, or
Mhm.
you're removing yourself from it. And I think it was like a day or two in, and I was just like, you know what? It if we forget it, we forget it. But I want to kind of be there in the moment. So
Yeah. I think it's really important for kids too that you're not always like, not that we were manufacturing everything, but everything doesn't always have to be like produced, right? Like
Right.
you're just like having fun, you're enjoying each
Mhm.
other. You're like, like we were in the water
Mhm.
and like this, like I said, this was our first beach vacation as a family, and you love the beach, and we've learned that Emmy is a beach baby. And
Loves the sand, loves the water.
yeah, like Dave and Owen could sit, or excuse me, Dave and Emmy could sit in the water for like 12 hours a day.
Mhm.
Owen likes the waves,
Mhm.
which we learned. He had like a couple days where he was pretty leery of the water, which I think he gets from me, which sounds weird coming from a former diver who spent most of her time in a pool, but the ocean is terrifying. Anyways, I may have projected that on him a little bit.
A little
So
bit.
like a couple of days he was nervous of the water, but then he like loved playing in it and jumping waves and going in further. But just like having that time on the beach to just be like present and like having fun and like
Mhm.
like who cares if we have sand all over us, or like we're a hot mess. Like we were having fun as a family, and that's like my favorite part of the trip, was just like having fun moments together and like not caring about anything else.
Yeah, and like I said, we've got tons of photos, tons of videos.
Mm-hmm.
It I wanted more, but I wanted to be with the family even more so.
Yeah.
And we did some really fun things. We rode a car ferry, which was really fun. We
Mm-hmm.
went to an aquarium. We played on the beach. We did a lot of stuff.
We went on a 2-mile like hike to this pier.
We went on a pier.
We like went on a walk on the beach one night, and there was like a pier literally 2 miles down the beach. And Dave like said, "Oh, Owen, we're gonna walk to that." And we're all like, "There's like me, Dave's mom, and Dave's brother were like, there's no way we're walking to that pier." And then it was like became a thing that like we were definitely gonna walk to that pier because Owen was like, "We're walking to the pier," and he had skipped a nap that day, and Em was just out of control because she just wanted to launch herself in the water.
It wasn't great.
So like we ended up walking to the pier, and Owen immediately fell asleep. Like I don't even think he remembers getting to the pier because he fell asleep on Dave. And then Em was like literally trying to throw herself in the water. So I was wrestling her in my arms the entire way back, and it was a hot mess.
You had to hold her like an angry cat.
Yeah, and like she was only okay if she was facing forward, and I was holding her like a football.
Yeah.
It
was super awkward, but
And then I think we got probably like 10 houses away from where we were staying, and you were like, "Hey, I see our house," and I just started to sprint with her.
You did.
I left you guys in the dust, and I was like, I just need to be home. But it was a really, really fun trip. Is there anything that like you feel like we should have left at home that we brought? I say this because I have one item that I'm like, I thought this was going to be awesome, and it didn't really work out.
No, I mean, I think we brought, like I said, everything that we brought, we used. I don't think that there was anything that I can think of other than maybe bringing more blankets because it was freezing.
Yeah, it was like a weird air conditioning because the bedrooms would be literally 60 degrees and then the main part of the house would be like 74. It was so weird.
Yeah.
When we got there,
it was like 84.
I think it was 81 or 82 degrees, and I was like, this isn't going to work for me. I'm not someone who does well in the heat, and I like freaked out. For a second, I was like, there's AC in the house, right? But just like in between guests, they turn it higher, and then the guests can turn it to whatever they want, but to the house. But I would say the one thing that I feel like we should have just left at home, but how would we have known, was we have this little like beach tent from the California Beach Company. And we bought this, honestly, it was like probably maybe a little less than a year ago, but we bought this thing and we've used it as a fort inside a lot, and that's what it's ultimately going to be moving forward. But I had originally bought this like California Beach Co tent,
it's a great,
literally
it's a great
for
item.
the purpose of the beach, and I thought it was going to be great. Yeah, because I was like, this will be great for the beach. But like I said, and I think we've talked about our trip to Cleveland. We used it in Cleveland.
And it came in very good handy.
And that was handy. But we thought the kids were going to use this a lot. And basically, because we were like, it's going to provide them shade. It's going to provide them for a place to rest. They could have cared less about it. We set it up almost every day on the beach. I think Owen went in it twice. Emily only went in it once because I forced her to. They just wanted to be out in the sun and sand. And we should, like, if we didn't bring it, it wouldn't have mattered because they literally didn't use it.
What we did is we brought the wrong one. We had planned on bringing both, and we forgot one here. So we also have one that's like a half dome. And the problem is with the California Beach Co one, it's got this sun reflecting thing, and it's really breathable. The problem is that unless it's noon, you're still getting sun in there. Where the half moon one or the half dome one, you can rotate it to wherever the sun is and actually give you shade. And I think next time in 9 months when we go down there, that's the one we're going to bring.
Yeah.
We'll leave the California Beach Co one up here.
Yeah, like I said, that's going to be a fort in the house.
It's honestly, if you've got the room, it's a great substitute for a pack and play. Not necessary for sleeping. There is a mattress you can get, but it's really more of a foam pad. So I don't know.
Yeah, but we used it a lot when like Emmy was younger. As just kind of like a fun little
It's
play
big.
area
I mean,
for
it's
them.
it's
Big,
3
yeah.
or 4 feet in diameter, so you really have
Yeah.
to have the room.
But that was the one thing that I was like, ugh, we lugged this to the beach every day and literally no one ever used it.
It doesn't take up that much room. It folds
No,
up really
but it was
nicely.
like, we literally didn't have to
Yeah.
bring it with us at all. That was the
Mhm.
one thing I was like, should have left it at home.
No, I agree. And it stunk to kind of set it up every morning and then anchor it. And
Yeah, and then
honestly,
you have to pull them out and whatever.
honestly, what I would do next time is Amazon has these things where it's like 4 poles and this stretched over fabric over the top of it. I'd actually bring one of those instead.
Yeah, but we saw a bunch of people too who even just had those like tent things that you like put in your backyards
Mm-hmm.
that like your mom has, my parents have.
Mm-hmm.
And then you just kind of like rotate for the shade.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. But it was a really fun trip, guys. I read a book. I haven't read a book since our honeymoon where I've like would read a book a day on the beach because all we did was like lay in the sun and drink and eat and relax. But like I've listened to books on Audible since then, like driving or like doing chores with like an earpod in. But I actually read a book with a book in my hand. It was great. It was so relaxing. Like we didn't think about work once. We really just like enjoyed our time away and enjoyed the moment. Like after the kids went down, we would play games.
I don't even think we were really on our phone that much. I think we pretty much unplugged when
There
we were
were
there.
a couple days when I didn't touch my phone once.
Mm-hmm. Full battery at the end of the day.
Yeah. Yeah. Like I didn't have to charge it for 2 whole days. But it was really nice to get away and recharge and relax. And on the way home, I was like already planning our next vacations.
Mm-hmm. Like I said, 9 months. Less than a year, we'll be back there.
9 months. We'll be back at the beach. It's like a family reunion for Dave's side of the family.
It's going to be more chaotic.
There's going to be like, what, 30 of us?
It's going to be a lot in one house.
Like 20 to 30 of us. It's going to be fun, though, because it'll be all your cousins. And
maybe we can do a podcast from there.
yeah, with everyone.
Yeah. I don't know if we have enough mics.
That's okay. We'll figure it out. But it was really fun. Yeah. And I think we've consistently learned more about traveling with kids.
I don't think you ever really know everything. Like when we were at our hotel leaving, I went to go get the dolly and the dolly was gone. So I started hand bringing stuff out. And there was a point where I think it was the second or third trip I had both pack and plays. And the couple who had the dolly had pulled up their vehicle. And the dad was basically like, listen, you need this. Let me get all my stuff off. I'll give it to you right now.
And he had one pack and play,
he had
right?
one pack and play. And I want to say he was, their kid was 18 months maybe a little younger. And I was talking to them for a minute, and they were saying how they had a third row SUV. How overpacking is a problem, and and they're kind of learning each time. And I jokingly was saying, yeah, we solved our overpacking problem by buying a van, which is only kind of true.
Yeah, we did better in some aspects and the same in others.
Yeah, there's definitely some room to improve on. I mean, really, the bottom line is there a washer and dryer, and is there a store to buy something? Because if there is, then you really don't need to like overpack.
Yeah,
stuff.
like we need diapers like to get us
through a few days. We used a full standard size suitcase, like the full size one, and we're confident next time round when we go, we're honestly going to be able to use a carry-on
suitcase for all, because like the place we're staying at next time also has washer and dryer. I did 3 loads of laundry when we were there because just like kids pee through stuff like sleep sacks, which they need to sleep in,
and the bathing suits are sandy, and
and you just want to rinse them out. And so like I was like, we're wearing the same things every day basically. Because you're at the beach, so you're in bathing suits and you're in cover-ups and you're in comfy clothes. So if I'm gonna end up doing that much laundry anyways, then like I can confidently pack all of our clothes in one carry-on suitcase.
Yeah, still bringing the duffel for it, but the overnight stuff. But Yeah, I think that we overall learned a little bit more. I don't think we thought we. I don't think we learned as much as we thought.
No, I think next time we won't have to have like a booster seat for M.
Mm-hmm. That's true. The high chair,
The height, like all that stuff. Like
Yeah.
I don't think we'll have to have that for her, or maybe just like a little booster seat.
Mm-hmm.
Like not with the tray or anything, but like I think strollers we did good on. We just brought one stroller, like
Yep.
one stroller. Like we did not have our double stroller because we were like, Owen's gonna want to walk places. We brought
And we
like
did use it.
yeah, we did
Mhm.
at the aquarium. We used it.
Yeah, we honestly could have brought the smaller stroller though. Our
Yeah,
equivalent of an umbrella stroller, the one
yeah,
that's
that folds up really
our
small.
Ergo Baby one,
Mm-hmm.
can go on an airplane.
Maybe next time.
Because
we'll
we
use that.
brought the Chico one thinking that we'd use it on the beach, and we totally could have, and we saw people do it,
Mhm.
but we never actually used it on the beach.
Yeah, we have like a shoulder carrier
Mm-hmm.
that I had gotten Dave for your birthday.
Yep.
And so we use that on the beach a lot with Emmy, where Dave would put it on his shoulders and kind of give her like it's not a piggyback, I guess it's like a shoulder ride.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like he doesn't have to hold on to her because she's like they're both strapped in.
Yeah.
So it's called Mini Me's. Mini
Mhm.
Me. Mini
It's
Me.
spelled weird though.
Yeah. But it's like a company that like dads created.
Mm-hmm.
Because a
It's a
lot of
great
dads put their
product.
kids on their shoulders, and this way
Mhm.
it like takes the strain off of you.
Yeah, it's basically set up like a hiking backpack. The way the way the tension is,
Mhm.
And the shoulder pads and the harness part. You definitely still feel a kid on there, but you don't have to worry about them falling off or holding them. Your hands are free to do stuff. It's a great thing. I don't know how much it was, but it's totally worth it.
Yeah, I think it's
Way better than a
It's
front
worth it.
carrier.
yeah. We brought the front carrier too, and we used that on the ferry.
Mm-hmm.
And M just wanted to like be walking around, but I was like, you can't, like it's a ferry.
It's
You
a boat.
can't like you can't just like walk around.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, you're only one. Like and just turned one.
Yeah. There's
Yeah.
no way she would have been able to walk on a boat.
No, yeah. Yeah. Any
Anything
like
else?
key takeaways or anything?
Driving through the night.
Yep.
My takeaways. Driving through the night is the best thing you can do should you be able to safely do it.
Yes.
That's the key thing. Safely do it. If it's pushing too much, the hour or two it's going to save you really isn't worth
Mm-hmm.
the safety risks. So driving through the night, have a van.
Have a van.
Have a van, rent it, whatever, or a pickup truck, whatever, or full size SUV, and just leave everything at home, as far as
Mhm.
baggage and work and problems, and I mean, don't go on vacation and spend all your savings. I mean, that's not
Yeah.
it's not what I'm saying, but be there in the moment, be there for the kids, be there for the family.
Yeah.
Enjoy it.
Like take pictures, take video because
Mhm.
you do want to remember it, but also just like after you've taken your pictures and taken your videos, like put your phone or your camera aside and just
Mhm.
like be with your family.
Like I had imagined us like basically vlogging all the way down and all the way there and all the way
We
back.
talked about it.
We talked about it, and I don't know how people do it, because it either you miss everything or you're just spending hours wasted
Yeah.
talking. It's
Yeah,
just-
I loved the fact that like probably for the first half of the week, I barely touched my phone.
It was nice to unplug.
Yeah, like I had literally like a book in my hands.
Mhm.
And I also liked that we had your mom there and your brother there because I feel like I was like, oh my gosh, I just want to finish this chapter. There were
Mhm.
other people there to be like, oh, I got the kids. Or like if like you and I went to the grocery store,
Mhm.
just us. I cannot remember the last time you and I walked into a grocery store together, just us.
Mm-hmm.
Honestly, I can't remember.
It was a great experience
It
going
was
to a
great.
grocery store.
We
just
walked
the two of us.
around. We just like walked around.
You were
like,
in awe of the grocery store.
Yeah. The grocery store down there was like legit. It had its own
Beer.
like beer, like what is
Brewery?
it? Like not brewery, but like beer, like house.
Like tap room.
Yeah, like its own beer. It had its own tap room there.
Mhm.
Like I was about to sit down and have like a beer there. Like it was called the bear beer room, or I don't.
Yeah.
There was some play on words, but like it was a Lowe's grocery store, and
Mhm.
it was like this cute little area in the corner where it had all the beers, and then you could, if you wanted to, sit and have a beer like from the tap. It was so cute, and I was like, this is awesome. And then there were these like meat sections where like Dave was talking to me and I was not registering what he was saying because I was so in awe of all the different like meat.
It was like a Disney grocery store.
Yeah. It literally was like going to a Disney grocery store.
Everything was like themed.
Everything was themed and everything was just like, it was great. And guys, like I grew up and lived in Wegmans land and I was shocked by this grocery store. So like, that's
something
saying
special.
something. Yeah. Like literally, for the first 20 minutes we were in there, like I don't know what you said to me. I was just walking around the different meat sections because it was like pork and then beef and then chicken and then seafood. And like each one had a different theme and like all the meats were laid out and like it was incredible.
It's a
was
really nice
incredible.
grocery store.
We got t-shirts.
This is how you know you're an adult.
Yeah.
Get excited about grocery stores.
We were so excited. We literally, they had like, they were selling t-shirts at the grocery store and Dave surprised me with one later in the trip and I was so excited.
It was the chicken.
Yeah.
Chicken for their chicken poultry department.
Yeah.
It was like their mascot.
Yep.
What about you? Anything?
Key takeaways?
Yeah.
It was nice to have other adults there because I think like going on vacation with young kids, like it is easier to disconnect or have some me time, or like we went on a walk on the beach together one day, just you and I, like when there's other adults there who you can be like, hey, watch my kid for a second. That was nice. And I think honestly, it was so needed. Like we needed to get out of our house, our neighborhood, and just get away and like get out of our heads with work and with everything. It was so nice to just disconnect and just have fun.
Yeah.
Not that we don't have fun on a daily basis with our kids,
we
but like
definitely have fun, but it's nice to do a little bit of self-care.
Yes.
Self-care is super important. Like I know that I love our children and you to an unspeakable amount. And there are times where it's nice to jump on the bike or jump in my car and just take 30 minutes to myself. There's nothing wrong with that. I don't feel guilty about it. But a little bit of self-care is healthy.
Yeah.
Otherwise you grow to resent the things you love.
Yeah, and I think there were times on vacation where like I had a little bit of alone time. You had a little bit of alone time. And like we had family time, just us, like family time with the extended, like with like your mom and your brother, and it was like a good balance of each. And it was like, if I was like, hey, I'm going to go get coffee this morning, it was understood that like this is Becky's time to do this by herself.
Yeah.
Or like if you were like, hey, I'm going to run to the grocery store, like bye, it was like that's your time to do your own thing. Or like the first day I was like, hey, I'm taking a nap super early. I'm going to stay here and read this book. Like don't mess with my book reading time. Like it was just we got our own time as well, which I feel like when you're on vacation with young kids is like
hard,
near impossible to gain, and we were able to get that, which is really, really nice. So
that was your takeaway.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I just wanted to thank everybody who has been listening to the podcast and downloading it. Recently, we hit 200 downloads, which is a big deal.
Yeah.
We started this podcast back in April of this year,
Hmm?
so not super long ago, but long enough. And just appreciate everyone who's listening and cares about what we're saying.
Yeah. Yeah, we are so thankful that people are actually listening to the things that we're saying.
Mm-hmm. We honestly set out doing this and had no idea if anyone was going to listen.
Yeah,
to
we
it.
had no expectations. We were just doing it for ourselves, and even to get like text messages from friends and family that are like, "I'm laughing at this part of your podcast," or "Hey, it would be great if you did this type of if like you did this topic," or "I feel the same way." So those are the things that have really resonated with me, that we're like making connections with people, and even people who we've known forever, but we're like connecting with them on a different level now. It's been, I think, a really great experience for you and I to connect as a married couple, but
Definitely.
also with like friends and family who we haven't spoken with in a while.
Yeah, it's been interesting, the feedback that we have been getting. And honestly, if you have anything, can email us at spillproofpodcast@gmail.com. Geez, I just remembered we had an email account.
If you've emailed us, we probably haven't checked in a while.
No. Whoops.
We're going to check tonight.
Yes, we'll check tonight. Got to remember the password. But it's been interesting for, the family, friends, and everyone else who has reached out. Some of them have said, I really enjoy listening to it from an entertainment standpoint, our foibles and whatever you want to call it, to just, friends and family and listeners who have reached out and said, I feel that way too. And that was our kind of secondary goal, I think, maybe, was to, put everything out there in the sense that, somebody listening to it may realize that, they're not alone.
Yeah, I think a lot of people try to put out this version of themselves on social media that they have it all together, and that their house is always clean, and that their kids are always well behaved, and that like it's just great. When reality is like a lot of days are hard, and like our house is constantly messy, and like there are days when our kids are just like out of control, and it's hard, and like we try to lean on each other on those days or family on those days, but like life is messy, and that's okay, and that's what we're trying to convey to everyone is like the mess is okay.
It is. Being a parent is messy.
It's super messy.
Figuratively and literally.
Yeah. And like most days I feel like I'm like, do I even know what I'm doing? So if you feel like that, I think it's normal and it's okay.
All right. Well, I think that about wraps this one up.
Yeah. That is our takeaways from our last travels with our kids, and we'll talk to you guys next time.
Thanks.
Thanks
for listening to the Spillproof Podcast. As always, reach out to us at spillproofpodcast@gmail.com.
We'd love to hear from you all, and we can't wait to talk with you next time.
Thanks for listening. Bye.
Bye.